Hey everyone, it's Colin from Legalized Mischief Productions. Thank you for joining me and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a quick tutorial to show you how to paint Tron Tau, basically. We're going to be using an oil wash to achieve like that Tron effect for Tau. It's specific to Tau. It could work for different applications. It's basically doing a pin wash, but I wanted to do a tutorial to show how this technique can be used when acrylic washes might come up short. Acrylic washes just aren't strong enough to do this technique. You'd have to hand paint all of this, and it would just take forever, and it would be a lot more difficult. As you're going to see, this is very easy and very, very fast. So first things first, we're going to use this Winsor Newton oil. This is cadmium orange hue. You can use, obviously any strong color that you want. And first things first, we're going to make the oil wash. So you can do, the nice thing about oils is that they are so opaque. They are very, very, that's too much. They are very, very strong, and they will cover anything. Acrylic washes, even acrylic paint, you would have to do, especially because we're doing it over black, and you can see just how electric orange this is going to be, which is perfect for the Tron theme. But acrylic washes, even acrylic paint would really struggle because we're going over black. So why we use oils for this technique, and we want this to be thick. If you watch the other videos where I'm doing like a pin wash on a model, this is thicker than that because we want this to be very opaque. We want this to cover very, very well. So you can see, wow, the camera's really kind of freaking out on that orange with all that reflection. Sorry about that. But you can see here just how thick and how much that's going to cover. There we go. That's better. So what we've done is we've painted. So say you've painted your battle suit. This is going to be like one of the last things you do is going to be this pin wash. So you painted your battle suit. You got the edge highlight and everything. This has just been basically primed black, and then I did a Vallejo black gray highlight on these panels here, and then an edge highlight with Vallejo Game Color Shadow Gray, which is a really nice blue gray to edge highlight black with, and have it still look black. And then we give it a nice coat of gloss, because the gloss is going to make sure that the oil wash wicks into the depressions, into these recesses here, and it's going to make it so that we can clean off the oil wash from the surfaces without marring the surface. We've mixed the oil with Artist White Spirit. White Spirit and mineral spirits are not the same thing. They behave differently. They have different working times. White Spirit is what I use 99.9% of the time. So I use Winsor Newton White Spirit to mix the wash, and then we'll also be using the White Spirit to take it off. So you've highlighted, you've done your metallics, everything. Also, you use a synthetic brush. Don't use a natural brush. A natural brush will just melt and be destroyed instantly. So use a synthetic brush for this technique, and just cheapo ones from Michael's are perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, and because of the gloss varnish, it's just going to wick into those recesses. So we just have to tap it, and you can see that flow. And we don't have to be exact with this. We don't have to be super, super careful, because we're just going to wipe off the excess. So we want to get in all those, for this scheme, we want to get in all those little recesses there, all the little panel lines and everything. You don't necessarily want to wash like the whole model, but you do not need to be super fine with this technique. So you can see it's settling in all those recesses, and it is very bright. You can see the orange in the recesses. If we just did like an orange wash, that would never happen. You wouldn't be able to see the orange. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use my heat gun to speed up the drying time on the white spirit. I don't necessarily recommend this. I recommend if you're doing this technique, you're doing it in batches. And so by the time you get to the third or fourth guy, the first guy's dry. But for the sake of the tutorial, you also probably want to use a hair dryer. This heat gun gets extremely hot and it will just melt your model if you're not careful. Typically I'll use a heat gun for like bending forge rolled resin. That's its main purpose. But days like today, I will use it to speed up this tutorial. So you're not just sitting around listening to me talk, watching stuff dry. And so now we take a little bit of white spirit in our cup. Excuse me. So take a little bit of white spirit in the cup, and then we get our very technical tool for removing oil washes, our Q-tip. So just get the Q-tip wet in the white spirit, and then you're going to see, like on this front panel here, you just gently wipe the surface with the Q-tip, and it leaves that orange in the recesses. And because it's an oil wash, you can still see like that. You can still see it with the black. And that's what makes this technique so much easier than trying to, say, hand paint all those recesses and everything. It's just not feasible. It's certainly not feasible if you ever want to get an army completed. It's just not going to happen. So, I mean, it could. It would just take you years. So, but be gentle when you're rubbing off the surfaces. You really want to be gentle with the Q-tip, because if you rub too hard, you will rub paint off this model. And obviously that's the last thing that we want. So you can see there on the bottom, especially, just really nice coverage, really nice definition. The recesses are all filled in. It looks a little thin in that front area here. This looks a little thin. I'm a little underwhelmed by that, which is right on the chest. So what we can do is we can just go back with a little more oil. Easy, easy, easy. Go back with a little more oil. Fill that in. And then I'm going to try, you're going to want to wait until that's dry. I'm going to try and just very gently go around it for the sake of the tutorial. And see, that filled in a little better now. But you really did a nice job on that bottom there. And that's really it. I mean, that is, Tron Tau. And that could be a really striking scheme. You could do orange, you could do turquoise, you could do pink, you could do, green, any color that you want, and get a really cool looking army in really not that much time. I would do this at the very end. You paint the battle suits in whatever black. I would do this at the very end, and then I would do, whatever OSL or whatever that you're going to do on top of that. But you could knock out an army pretty quick using a technique like this and get a really visually striking, very visually striking look for the army. And then after this is done, we would just go back and hit it with a little matte varnish. The nice thing about oils too, let's clean that up a little bit, is, you know, just like everything else, once they're varnished, they're, you know, good to go. You can definitely game with them, and they're not going to be, you know, rubbing off and acting weird after some amount of time. They're going to stick where they are. So after we're finished that, just grab a little matte varnish. It's not 100% dry, so it may get a little weird, but you'll be able to see it well enough. So let's get a little matte varnish in there. Dry it off. And there you can see we have a really nice, unique color scheme for Tau. And like I said, you could use this. You could use this for, one of the things I was thinking about, you could use this for like plasma weapons, maybe. I'm going to give that a shot at some point. I think that would be cool. Where you paint the plasma coils and then do an oil wash, like just on the coils, and leave, you know, whatever light blue or red or whatever color you want to do, the plasma, just leave that, and then wipe the coils down and just have that left in the recesses. I think that could be really good. So there are a lot of different uses for this technique, and this was just basically the pin washing oil wash technique, just using different colors and a different consistency, make it a little thicker to get a different result. And I think it's pretty cool. So hope you enjoyed the tutorial. And if you have any questions or comments, just just leave them in the comments section. Always happy to answer them. Shoot me a message. So enjoy, and we'll see you soon.